All set, Michael? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting Wednesday, October 30th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the community room at the Seekonk Senior Center, 540 Arcade Avenue, Seekonk, Mass. Where else would it be? Mass General Law, Chapter 38, subsection 20F requires any person recording must notify chairman at the beginning of the meeting. Anybody? Seeing none. All of Board of Selectmen meetings are recorded via audio and video. Is the eagle on?
Yes.
The owl, whatever it is. Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Pledge of allegiance, a moment of silence, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could someone read the board and committee openings?
Volunteers are needed on the Board of Registrars, one Board of Selectmen position, appointment, Capital Improvement Committee, 3 Board of Selectmen, 2 moderated appointments, Commission on Disability, there's 5 to 13 Board of Selectmen appointments, Cultural Council, 1 Board of Selectmen, our Economic Development Committee has 5 Board of Selectmen appointments, Energy Committee, 4 Board of Selectmen, Historical Commission, 2 Board of Selectmen, Parks and Recreation, 1 Board of Selectmen, Recycling Committee, 2 Board of Selectmen, Zoning Board of Appeals, 1 alternate.
Thank you. Priority matters. Consider the conditional offer of employment for Ashley Lawrence, the position of the part-time kennel worker for animal control. Is she here tonight? Could you just step right up here for us, please? Our animal control officer has some, just come right up to the chair, that's fine. Thank you. Has some personal business, so I'll be reading. Ashley Lawrence has expressed an interest in the part-time kennel worker position. Ashley was interviewed on October 10th, 2024 by the town administrator, Sean Kadeem, assistant ACO Jessica Blake, and the animal control officer, Andrea Russo. Ashley performed very well during the interview and displayed a high level of interest in the position. She also expressed interest in having an opportunity to advance to an assistant animal control officer position in the future. She has recently participated in the 2-day core competence animal control training for the state of Mass, status pending. Ashley has previous experience working as a dog camp counselor at Camp Bow Wow in Swansea, as well as being a volunteer since July 2024 at a neighboring animal shelter. Ashley enjoys caring for animals and would like to begin a career in the field. I believe Ashley will be an asset to our team at the animal shelter and recommend her for the position of part-time kennel worker.
Madam Chairwoman, my recommendation is as requested by the animal control officer.
Got a motion?
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Ashley Lawrence to the position of part-time kennel worker with animal control subject to and conditioned upon her successful passage as determined by the town administrator of an employment check, successful query check, and completion of all pre-employment paperwork.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Consider the conditional offer of employment for Amanda Harrington to the position of senior clerk at the assessor's office. Hi. Go right ahead.
Good evening, Select Board members and Mr. Kadeem. I'm here tonight to ask for a favorable offer of employment for Amanda Harrington of Seekonk as Senior Secretary for the Assessor's Office. The Town Administrator's Office received 6 applicants for this position. Ms. Harrington met with the interview panel, which included Carol Days, Assistant Town Administrator, Jennifer Argo, Director of Finance, and myself. Amanda has administrative experience that will be beneficial to the operations of the Assessor's Office. She listed experience with payroll, billing knowledge, computer skills using software such as Microsoft, Google, and other clerical roles. At this time, I ask through Mr. Kadeem that the board offer Ms. Amanda Harrington a conditional offer of employment as Senior Clerk with the Assessor's Office.
My recommendation is as stated by Assessor Bureau.
Can I get a motion?
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Amanda Harrington to the position of Senior Clerk with the Assessors, subject to and conditioned upon her successful query check and completion of all pre-employment paperwork.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Congratulations.
Lydia, could you take Ashley with you and tell her what she needs to do now?
Sure.
You've seen this, Andrew, oh, sorry. Seen as Andrea's.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Let's see it. Next, accept the resignation of Matthew Camara from the position of police officer.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Consider the conditional offer of employment to Taylor Carrero for the position of police officer.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Kadim. I'll be requesting 2 conditional offers tonight. The first candidate is Taylor Carrero. Unfortunately, he's working tonight, and I excuse his absence at this meeting. But Mr. Carrero is currently a resident in Fall River. He's a recent graduate of the Plymouth Police Academy. He is employed as a police officer in the in the city of Fall River, and is working his way currently through the field training program. During Mr. Carrero's interview, he expressed his desire to move his family to Seekonk. He also expressed that he wanted to work in the community that he lived in. He's a member of the U.S. Army Reserves, and he's was also employed as a correction officer with the Bristol County Sheriff's Department before becoming a police officer. His experience, his training, and also being a academy recruit graduate, we don't have to send him to an academy, just put him through our field training and he'll be able to hit the road. So through Mr. Kadim, I request that the board extend a conditional offer of employment to Tyler Carrero for the position of full-time police officer.
I support the police chief's recommendation.
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Taylor Carrero to the position of first-class patrolman for the police department, subject to and conditioned upon his successful passage as determined by the town administrator of the following: completion of a satisfactory background check, physical examination with drug screening, psychological screening, execution of the recruit officer repayment agreement, MPTC physical fitness test, obtain and maintain a Massachusetts license to carry, fulfillment of all statutory requirements set forth by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission to become a certified law enforcement officer, successful verification of the National Decertification Index, successful passage of the Civil Service Physical Ability Test, and completion and passage of an MPTC or approved ROC Police Academy.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Excellent.
Welcome aboard. Next is consider the conditional offer of employment to Scott Moore for the position of police officer.
So this would be an entry-level position we have to send to the academy. As the board remembers, the last time I was here, a few meetings ago, we gave conditional offers to several people for the academy. Mr. Moore was on the same hiring campaign that we did in town. We really geared it towards, we tried to get town residents to apply. Mr. Moore was one of the town residents that took the opportunity, came in and did a good job on his interview. As I said, Mr. Moore is a town resident and a business owner. Mr. Moore served with the United States Marine Corps. During Mr. Moore's interview, he expressed that he always wanted to be a police officer, but after leaving the military, he started a family and then a business, and that kind of put that dream on hold. I believe his maturity will be an asset to this relatively young department. What was also apparent in his interview was his strong work ethic and his genuine desire to give back to the town of Seekonk. For those reasons, I'd like to, through Mr. Kadim, request that the board extend a conditional offer of employment to Scott Moore for the position of full-time police officer.
I support Chief Enos's recommendation.
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Scott Moore to the position of full-time police officer for the police department, subject to and conditioned upon his successful passage as determined by the town administrator of the following: completion of a satisfactory background check, physical examination with drug screening, psychological screening, execution of the recruit officer repayment agreement, MPTC physical fitness test, obtaining and maintaining a Massachusetts license to carry, fulfillment and of all statutory requirements set forth by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission to become a certified law enforcement officer, successful verification of the National Decertification Index, successful passage of the Civil Service Physical Ability Test, and completion and passage of an MPTC or approved ROC Police Academy.
Second.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, if I could, Mr. Moore, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Williams, you're next. We don't want you all dressed up and have nothing to do. Next is consider the, are we gonna do these one at a time? We're gonna do these one at a time, right?
Yeah, there are some
Sorry,
differences.
yeah, okay. Consider the conditional offer of employment to Alex back for the position of firefighter paramedic lateral transfer.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Select Board. Come before you this evening to put before you the request for a conditional offer of employment to be extended to Alex Back for the lateral paramedic position that we opened up. We opened that campaign up when we identified that we had some vacancies within our organization. That program has been very successful. And the individual to my right also went through that same process that we've had done before. And he sits before you to hopefully get the conditional offer extended to him. Alex currently works for the town of Portsmouth, Rhode Island Fire Department. Previous to that, he was gainfully employed with the town of Tiverton Fire Department. Before that, he did start his career in the East Providence Police Department as a dispatcher. He currently is a Massachusetts certified paramedic. He's a Massachusetts, he has the National Firefighter 1-2 standard behind his belt, so he is a nationally registered firefighter or nationally identified firefighter 1-2. He currently holds hazardous materials operations. He's a fire service instructor, and he also holds his bachelor's degree in criminal and justice studies from the Rhode Island College. He has over 5 years of experience working within public safety as a firefighter paramedic and as a police dispatcher. With all that before the panel, he interviewed before that panel, interviewed very well with his experience, his personality. We feel that it'd be a wonderful fit in the town of Seekonk. So with that, through Mr. Kadim, I request a conditional offer of employment for lateral firefighter paramedic be extended to Alex Back.
Madam Chairwoman, I support Chief Whalen's recommendation.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Alex Back to the position of firefighter paramedic for the fire department, subject to and conditioned upon his successful passage as determined by the town administrator of the following: successful completion of attachment A of the collective bargaining agreement between the town of Seekonk and IAFF Local 1931, a successful pre-employment background check, a satisfactory query check, completion of all pre-employment paperwork, and a physical examination with drug screening.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Consider a conditional offer of employment to Brandon Vitello for the position of entry-level firefighter paramedic.
Good evening. So as I just identified, we did have the lateral program up and running. It has been very successful. We did come to the end of that lateral transfer well that we were drawing off of. We did have actively at the same time an open competitive process for entry-level firefighter paramedics. We had over 20 applicants apply to that position. Through that process, we've whittled it down to the top candidates you see before us this evening. To my right is Brandon Vitello. He's currently employed by the town of Tiverton, Rhode Island Fire Department. He's been through the Rhode Island Fire Academy as a nationally recognized firefighter 1-2. Only caveat to Mr. Vitello is that he didn't meet the full criteria to be a lateral. He is currently working towards his paramedic program certification, and he is enrolled in a bridge program, which he currently already started. So Brandon, although almost a lateral transfer, didn't meet the benchmark criteria, but within a very short period of time, he'll be a plug-and-play option for us in the fire department. So with that being said, through his experience he already has on the Tiverton Fire Department and his ambitions to become a paramedic and actively enrolled in that program to become a paramedic in a very short order, I would like to see him become a member of our fire department. It was identified through the panel that his personality and his true desire to work for his hometown, as he does live in the town of Seekonk, was a great benefit to our organization. So with that, through Mr. Kadim, I'd ask that we extend a conditional offer of employment for the entry-level firefighter paramedic position to Brendan Vitello.
My recommendation is as requested by Chief Brown.
Thank you. Can I get a motion, please?
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Brandon Vitello to the position of third-class firefighter paramedic for the fire department, subject to and conditioned upon his successful passage, as determined by the town administrator, of the following: executed attachment A and attachment B documents, a pre-employment background and query check, physical examination with drug screening, psychological evaluation, civil service commission's physical ability test, successful completion and passage from a Massachusetts firefighting academy, completion of paramedic level certification within 3 years from date of academy completion.
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I'd like to make a motion to indefinitely postpone the next conditional offer of employment of Patrick Dunn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Hold on a second. Can't write that fast. Okay. Consider the conditional offer of employment to Brian Barry for the position of entry-level firefighter paramedic.
Good evening once again. Already previously identified is the competitive entry-level program to take on applicants for the vacancies that are currently existing within our fire department. One of these applicants that came through the panel, he was interviewed on October 17th. The panel identified through his experience that he currently has, he's currently working with the Bristol Fire Department as an EMT. He currently is working and operating a Brewster ambulance service as an EMT. He's currently active and enrolled in a paramedic school program. He started his experience previously in Essex, Vermont, where he was on the Essex rescue team up there. Decided that he wanted to come back to this area. With that being said, his ambition, his drive, and his motivation identified to us in the panel, we believe that he'd be a perfect fit for our organization. So with that being said, through Mr. Kadim, I'd request that we extend a conditional offer of employment for entry-level firefighter paramedic to Brian Ferry.
I support Chief Brown's recommendation.
Have a motion, please?
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Brian Ferry to the position of third-class firefighter paramedic for the fire department, subject to and conditioned upon his successful passage as determined by the town administrator of the following: executed attachment A and attachment B documents, a pre-employment background and query check, physical examination with drug screening, psychological evaluation, civil service commission's physical ability test, successful completion and passage from a Massachusetts firefighting academy, completion of paramedic level certification within 3 years from date of academy completion.
Second.
And a discussion point too, I'll just add that Brian is a identical triplet, so we'll ensure that he is the one reporting to work every day.
And I won't ask you how you're gonna do that. Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Any questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Congratulations. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Consider the conditional offer of employment to Jaden Wayant for the position of entry-level firefighter paramedic.
Good evening. Jaden was interviewed in a consistent panel on October 21st. It was identified during that interview panel that Jaden had a motivation and ambition that we're currently looking for. He currently is employed by the Brewster Ambulance Service and currently, or had previously, worked for the Berkeley Fire Department as an EMT firefighter there as well. He did not get any certifications as far as firefighter 1, 2, but he did get the National Registered and Massachusetts Basic EMT license. He currently is enrolled in the paramedic program. So with that being said, we identified he would be a great asset to our community and to our department. So through Mr. Kadim, I'd like to extend a conditional offer of employment to Jaden Wyatt for the position of entry-level firefighter paramedic with the town of Seekonk.
I support Chief Donald's recommendation.
Motion, please.
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Jaden Wyatt to the position of third-class firefighter paramedic for the fire department, subject to and conditioned upon his successful passage as determined by the town administrator of the following: executed attachment A and attachment B documents, pre-employment background and core check, physical examination with drug screen, psychological evaluation, civil service commission's physical ability test, successful completion and passage from a Massachusetts firefighting academy, completion of paramedic level certification within 3 years from date of academy completion.
Second, please.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We'll see you in a minute, okay? All right.
Consider accepting the donation of 3 automated external defibrillators from Zoll.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Select Board members. We had the opportunity, my EMS Director, Lieutenant Tim Goodwin, had the availability, correct me if I'm wrong, why were you at the facility? Were you there for an inspection or just a view?
Oh, no, we were discussing next summer.
He was called to their facility to discuss the summit, and through those discussions, it was identified that we had to save a 17-year-old female Ciara in our town. They invited Lieutenant Goodwin to speak at their summit, which I'll let his old representative speak on the ultimate scope of who's actually at that summit, because it's quite impressive. And they invited Lieutenant Goodwin to give a presentation to their leaders of their organization. And through that process, we sit here tonight to accept the donation of 3 ADs to our organization.
Thank you. Gina Stefanso, I'm from Zoll Medical, and this is Ricky Oliveira. And we invited Lieutenant Goodwin to speak at our summit, which is 5 divisions, 80 plus people for 4 days in Providence, Rhode Island. Zoll Medical makes AEDs, but in Pawtucket, Rhode Island and East Providence, Rhode Island, we make the electrodes that connect the patient to the device. Lieutenant Goodwin was gracious enough to join us for an hour and a half, and for his time and for all the efforts that this department does for Zoll and for saving lives. We offer 3 AEDs for donation.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the donation of 3 automated external defibrillators from Zoll.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you very much.
Consider accepting the animal control officer's warrant.
One
Oh,
more.
hold on. Sorry, consider accepting the emergency management performance grant in the amount of $4,600. And I'm sorry.
That's okay. Madam Chair, Select Board members, I previously come before you to ask your permission to submit for the EMPG grant for this current year. That grant was submitted and we were awarded the sum of $4,600. That grant will be used to purchase ice water rescue suits and a portable generator with a light tower that we currently use and operate on energy companies. So we did get awarded that grant, and I will continue to say that Lieutenant Matt Bradford continues to do a great job for us. He is our sole grant writer, and he just continues to prove himself with all the monies that we're able to acquire. So with that being said, I appreciate you for allowing us to accept the grant.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hold on. Any questions? I have one. What is the old the generator with what you said? It's some kind of a tower?
So
Light tower?
Yeah, so ultimately, the incorporation of a actual fixed generator on an engine company just became too cost prohibitive. So what we're doing now is we're using a portable generator. That generator is a small Honda unit, so it allows us to carry or bring power into anywhere we need it to be, and not really kind of pin us down to the apparatus.
Mhm.
But we've added a small additive, if you will, or an added component to it, which is just a small double head light tower, just for illumination and for seeing, seeing illumination really at the end of the day.
Okay,
So it's just an add-on to the generator.
right. Okay, good. Thank you.
Mhm.
I got a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Chief. Good to see you. Good to see you too.
And thanks, Matt, for Okay, consider accepting the animal control officer's warrant, and as I said previously, she is not able to make it today. To chairperson of the Board of Selectmen of the town of Seekonk in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 140, as amended in foregoing warrant, I, Andrea Russo, hereby make due return of my doings and compliance therewith as follows. Number of dogs for the period of April 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2024. The list is below, and there were 24 under this unit. Number of cats for the period of April 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2024. And under here, we have 70 various cats. To the best of my knowledge and belief, all unlicensed dogs in said town of Seekonk have been caught, confined, killed, or adopted, sold, and complaints have been made against the following named persons under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 140 as amended. Tickets written from April 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2024 for non-criminal offenses for failure to license, dog at large first, dog at large second, failure to vaccinate against rabies, animal and vehicle weather related, were 35 for a total of $1,490. Total number of dogs licensed from April 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2024. License issued 317. And as far as I have acknowledged, complaints have been entered against all persons who have failed to comply with said provisions. And if you have any questions, we'll have to have it come in 2 weeks. If you don't, just make a motion to accept and we'll move on.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, community speaks. Anybody from the community like to speak about anything? Antonio? You want to come up here now, Mr. Pimentel? You were here 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And discussing tree stump that was in your yard that had come down during a storm. And I have talked to Mr. Cabral, who said he's gone over and looked at the stump several times. Mr. Kadim has gone over there. I went over there myself. And I want to apologize to you for not calling you before now. I had some company come in from out of the country, so I was a little tied up. But I did drive by your yard and I did see the stump and I saw your yard, but I cannot give our DPW department permission to remove that stump because from what I saw, it is on your property, sir, and we can't do that. We can't use public funds to work on private.
To measure?
I didn't really have to measure anything.
Why not?
Because your tree is in your yard, you made it into a, what I would call an ornamental area. There used to be 2 trees there, now there's only 1. And there's, you made it into I'd say a small type garden. It's obviously
only 1 tree
your.
then.
I know, but there used to be 2 because I even got the overhead picture of it. There used to be 2 trees there, but now there's only 1.
Yeah, the other one, I
There's
cut
not.
it down.
Right.
That's my tree.
That
That
was,
one is your tree.
no, I'm sorry, sir, but it is not.
Well, you keep saying it's mine, I say it's yours.
This is true, we're at an impasse.
So you all reject that, right? All of you?
I am not talking for them because I'm talking for myself because I went to look at it like I told you I would. And I'm telling you, I did. And as far as I am concerned, it's your
That-
responsibility.
That
to
tree's
remove
not
the stuff.
standing up, it's sideways.
I-
You cannot measure that tree like that.
Sir, I don't have to measure anything. It's quite obvious that that tree is on
Okay.
your property.
All right.
I would help you if I could, but I
Can
can't.
I have a business cards from all of you?
Oh, I don't know if they even went to look at it. I can't. I'm speaking for myself here because I told you myself I would go and check it
I
out.
like a business cards from all of you guys.
Oh, I don't have a business card. I'm sorry.
Where can I get it?
Oh, you can get our names on the website.
I don't do websites. Can I go to City Hall and get it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Okay,
Okay?
you're gonna wait for my lawyer.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on then. General business, public hearing, consider the proposal and adoption of an order to lay out the roadways, Palmer River Road within the Jacob Hill Estate subdivision in accordance with the as-built plan and legal description. Can I get a motion at 6:31 to open up the public hearing?
So moved.
Second, thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Palmer River Road. Who's gonna come up and speak with this? Who did we talk to last time? This has been before us a couple times. Hi, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
And you are?
Rick Passett with Madeira Ventures. The bondholder.
Okay, the last time you were before us, there was a question about 2 open permits through conservation.
They've been applied to have them, COC, issued, and they were doing inspections, and they told us, they would be forthcoming before the final meeting. Did they not copy you? Emails?
So, Madam Chairwoman, I did get an update this afternoon at 12:09 PM from Nolan Bernius, the conservation agent. So email states that I've attached the final cleanup report that needs to be addressed before the certificate of completion can be applied for and registered through the registry of deeds. Those items include an unaddressed sub pump connection at 11 Palmer River. Bioretention areas have been grown in and need to be cleared out. Riprap swale leading into the bioretention area has been partially cleared. This needs to be fully cleared. Tree by the outfall basin behind lot 4 to be removed to avoid any future pipe damage. Board of Health vent pipe from septic system is broken and needs to be repaired. So that's what we have.
That's in addition to there's some more things on there than what I was told, but, we'll have somebody out there probably Monday to wrap the rest of that up.
You're talking about the lot with the septic on it? With the vent pipe and
Well,
such?
it seems like there's a couple of different lots. So which one?
No, with the vent pipe.
Well, we had done a walkthrough at DPI. GPI.
GPI.
And he told us that there were a couple of items they wanted taken care of, but to wait until conservation had gone out and done their thing, and then we can do it all at once. So we've got a day's work.
Mr. Kadim, does that look like a day's work on that sheet?
To be honest, I don't know how long it will take. That's beyond my scope, but,
I was gonna say.
some pump connection, I don't know how long.
No,
it will take.
that just, they have to remove it. It's not us. We just put a plug on it.
So I would assume that the bioretention areas that have been grown out, I mean, that probably could be a day. The riprap swales leading into the bioretention areas have been partially cleared, so that's another clearing. Tree by the outfall basin, I'm assuming that's a day if you can get somebody out there to cut it. And then the vent pipe for the septic system is broken and needs to be repaired.
Madam Chair, this is on the warrant for town meeting, correct? Can we move this to the next meeting?
We can move it to the
I'm
next
just,
meeting.
for discussion purpose, can we just, because they'll give them time to fix what they,
Yeah.
what
Will it
Nolan
still be
sent
in
out?
time for the warrant?
It's already on.
It's already
It's already on the
It's
warrant.
on
I'm
the
saying,
warrant.
we have another meeting before town meeting.
On the
Okay.
13th.
If you get everything done, we get a favorable review from the conservation agent,
Yeah, I need to meet with the conservation agent because
so.
that is not at all what GPI had. We had gone over and went through GPI, John Orban and the Public Works Director, and went through GPI's, list,
Yeah.
walked through everything. He was done with the trees. He didn't want any more trees taken down.
I'm just trying to award you an
No, no.
opportunity to come back in front of
No,
us
that'd be
before
great.
town meeting, because it's on
That'd
the
be
warrant
great.
for you to get approval, so we can go to town meeting and everything's all set. That's what I'm trying to get done.
And the thing is, if we get to town meeting and everything's not set, we're gonna ask to indefinitely postpone this.
Understood,
So-
understood. Do we advertise, is there any public hearing? People that want to
Well,
speak on
I'm
it?
gonna
Or
ask.
Okay, because we don't have to do
That's
another, you have to do another public hearing for the next meeting? Or you just come to the next meeting to review
No, I
that?
would say we do another public hearing. We would continue this one to the next.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it would be considered a public hearing.
We don't have to.
Advertise
do a
again?
new one, Just continue this one.
Does he have to advertise it? Because,
No, as long as we make a motion to continue to a specific date and time, we should be able to. He should not have to continue this. This will all be considered a part of the same public meeting.
Okay,
okay, just hold on. Is there anybody here that wants to talk, in favor of this petition here? Is there anyone here? Oh,
In favor of it, or?
well, I'm going to oppose to it was next.
All right.
Okay, okay. Is there anybody here that is gonna talk against this? Come on up. Sometimes you guys are faster than I am. I will need,
Just not familiar with the procedure.
that's okay. I just need your name, sir.
Kevin Rodolphe, I'm at 35 Palm River Road. So I'm a member of the HOA. My question is, how much more of our time do you plan on wasting with this stuff? We came earlier this year, no one from your organization showed up. It was determined that the punch list wasn't taken care of. We've had people come out throughout the summer. One of the bio retention areas is an easement in my backyard, so I can clearly see when there's work being done. Yard Works came out in July. They left halfway through on a Friday because of a thunderstorm, have not seen them back. We've had a member of your organization, we've had DPW coming back, we've had this engineering firm coming back, speaking to myself and the president of the HOA. We pointed out the areas that are not taken care of, including numerous trees in the biotensionary area. The runoff area has not been cleaned at all. So when we got a certified letter last week saying there was going to be this meeting, I said, how can this be possible? This is clearly not done. So how does it get on the agenda that we have to take our time on a Wednesday to show up just to hear it get punted to the next meeting? It's clear to anyone who goes there that this is not done. And to think that we have to show up because we're worried that if we're not here to speak up against it, that it just might get approved, it's getting a little much. I've lived on that street for 6 years, and here we are. It's a recurring thing. So I don't know what the issue is. We're getting told numerous things, that things are being taken care of. Oh, they had to call a tree person to cut the trees down. Okay, I don't know where these tree people are, but it's not.
what they
happening.
cut?
They didn't cut anything. I have at least 15 or 16 trees behind my house that I specifically pointed out that are still there. So you tell me.
That's a GPI question, because GPI is not telling us to take any more trees down. GPI told us to take down trees across the street on the other side. Mr. Orban was at the
I
meeting.
think the trees that we're talking about aren't 50-foot tall.
Correct.
They're more, I think we would probably call them.
They're getting bigger as time
Along
passes.
the edge of the detention piece.
Yes, exactly. They're like this. They've gone from 5 feet tall a year ago to 10 feet tall now, where you can't even prune the tops off. So they're obviously growing. It's going to become a greater problem as time goes on. So the more time that it is before this is cleared out, we can't maintain it. We can't do anything until these things are gone.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if they were included in GPI's report, and I think those are somewhat of the trees we're talking about.
Those are the ones.
Yeah. Yep. So the board has in their packet, it's page 2, photo number 1. And again, it's not, from my perspective, having worked in landscaping all through high school and in college, there's not a lot of work out there, but there's work certainly to be done. I certainly agree with the homeowners association. There's work to be done. But I wouldn't say it's a massive amount of work.
No, it's
But
just
it
showing up.
needs to be out there.
Sir, what we try to do is make sure before a street is accepted by the town and we basically own it, that the area has been approved not only by DPW, but, John Orban, and everything is done the way they are. Unfortunately, as you can see, we've been here with this a few times.
Right.
And we keep pushing it off because it's not done. If we accept it right away and it's not done, then you and your, what's the name of it? Association will be responsible for it.
Right.
So we're trying to protect you
Yes.
and your neighbors. And I apologize, but this is the way things are done. We have to come back here, it's gotta be approved here, it's gotta go to the planning board, it's gotta come back here, then it has to go to the town meeting to be accepted.
Mhm.
So we don't take it lightly when it comes to accepting any road in this town.
Okay.
So I know it can be a PIA at times, but it is for us too, but we're
Oh, I know.
trying to protect you.
Yeah.
Okay? So, is it the board's intention at this point? Sir, you said you haven't seen this?
No, I hadn't seen the one from Nolan.
This one is, that one. Well, that's because it was today. That's probably why I haven't seen it. And actually, I don't know if it was sent to you.
No, it was, I had asked for an update.
Right. This, no, we probably. John, do you have this? Did you get this copy from Nolan by any chance?
I don't think I was copied on that.
I'll get it tomorrow.
But the conservation and planning are somewhat two different processes, even
Yeah, I
though
was
they come
just-
together here.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
He's not.
No, it's not.
Oh, it is. Okay, so, okay, so we can get, this copy. Okay, what's the board's pleasure?
I think before we make a motion, Madam Chair, we need to close the public hearing.
Oh, sorry. What?
We just need to continue don't close it, continue.
Okay, sorry.
Let's
See
do-
if there's anybody else that wants to speak.
Yes. Just remember.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public out here? Step right up. Yes, sir, your
Good
name?
evening, Jonathan Souza, 29 Palmer River Road. I just had a question in regards to the septic area. You guys mentioned there was a vent pipe that was damaged. I was just looking for clarity on that. But also the septic area where all the water goes, we're on a shared septic. There are vent pipes that are in the ground. I think I mentioned that to you or GPI. But there's vent pipes that stick all the way through the ground in that leach field. We have no idea as a homeowners association where those are. So when it comes to brush cutting and maintaining that area that we need to maintain, it'd be helpful to kind of know where those are to avoid any damage that can be done from a brush cutter.
They don't come up like candy canes?
Not all of them. There's some of them that are like 6 feet high of the ground.
Right, that's
There's
what,
also
yeah,
ones that come out that are 6 inches off the ground too.
those,
And they're spread throughout all entire of the leach field. From
Are
what
they
I
capped?
remember.
so do I clean them?
Can't see them. Can't see them.
Because typically those are flush cut.
Can't see them. So I can't seem to even tell you that, and I could be completely wrong, but when we walked it originally, this is before, this was when Matt 20 was here. Yeah, exactly. There were some, like about 3 to 6 inches that were coming off the ground.
Yeah.
And then obviously everything grew and you can't see them anymore. So I have no idea what condition they're in as far as what that is. And I asked GPI, and I think Dave, when you were out there, I mentioned that to you, so that's the reason why I brought it up.
Well, there's something here about,
Yeah, I don't know what that's pertaining to. When I walked the perimeter, when I walked the property with GPI, they came out last week with Gabe as well from DPW. That wasn't mentioned. There was a mention of the tree and then some of the swales coming up Palmer River that wasn't completed, and then they mentioned the trees. But everything else, has been done. There's just a couple other pieces that need to be wrapped up so we can accept it right away and get it over with. But that was my only question regarding the septic area. I don't know if there's a way to kind of like flag them or survey them so we kind of know where those are.
There's gonna be an original plan
Yeah.
for that.
Right.
I don't have it, but
No.
from somewhere,
Right.
recorded at town hall or in.
Madam Chair,
yep,
I believe an as-built has to be given to the Board of Health after the system is built. So the town should have a copy of the as-built plan,
okay,
which will indicate where the vents are and also what I think the gentleman's talking about, they might be cleanouts. Because of the size of the system, Anything that's about 6 inches high is probably a clean out within the middle of the system, so the system's built and they can open it up and they can clean either way through the pipes.
Correct.
If there's maintenance needed, which, to your point, would be great to know where they are, so you can mark them, so
Right.
once you guys are responsible for it, there's no damage
Correct,
done.
because we haven't seen them, or anybody's even looked at
Yes.
them probably
No, it's
10
overgrown.
years.
Who
So,
does that, Michael?
Board of Health?
Board of Health?
No,
Okay.
no, Board of Health won't mark them, they'll have the as-built plan.
Right,
They'll be able to get the homeowners association or the owner now, the stockholder can get a copy of it. And you guys can look at it and we can all hopefully come to some mutual agreement to mark them somehow, some way, so eventually everybody knows where they are.
yeah, and just so,
It's not-
because if they're damaged, obviously we'd like them to be
Yes.
looked at and repaired prior to us taking them over if they're damaged. And, you know, because I didn't even
But the
know
plan should be on file here,
what
and
that,
not here, but it's down below.
what they were talking about, so that was it, that was my only concern I had. Thank you.
okay,
We'll
so
get
he,
you a copy of that. plan.
Yeah, just so that way we know them, so when we go in there and we cut it after you guys leave.
Well, we'll review it,
Yeah.
look at them all.
Right. we
And
know where
then you'll
they're
have
at.
a copy of that plan, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna go out and stop making mistakes where they are,
Well,
because they're gonna get knocked down, and you should have a plan.
yeah, the
Twin
plan would be
cost,
beneficial, but also to kind of know where they are, because I'm not a surveyor, so I don't really know how to read a
Okay.
plan or a map, but just something for us to be able to know where they're at, so when we hire a company to come out there and maintain it, they can be cognizant of where they are as far as if we flag them or whatnot.
Okay,
You know, if we go out there and we walk them and I just put something there, it doesn't have to go that far down, just to maintain, so that way we know moving forward.
Mr. Cabral, you were jumping in your seat, do you want to say something?
I guess just to clarify too, the 4 items that were identified were done prior to the last board meeting. And I have gone out there, GPI, and met Jonathan out there, we walked the site both from the perspective of the town accepting the roadway and the homeowners association. I can give Rick a copy of this right now, but these were the outstanding items we had. And just that first picture that we had, I mean, it's 3 years going by. That retention basin area with those saplings that are all growing, that's within 3 or 4 years growth. It had been cleared 3 or 4 years ago. That was that picture on this sheet showing it at the bottom on the other side of the fence. The picture on the top is on the other side of the fence, you just can't see the fence, but those are the trees that are there right now. If you didn't get a copy of this, I don't, GPI usually does a good job of including everybody, I can certainly give you this. But these were the outstanding items, at least from our perspective,
after our.
in meeting with,
or
yeah, it
after
was 2
that?
weeks ago,
Okay.
October
I was not
16th.
at that.
So we went out there just to check the initial punch list to see what items remained prior to the board having this on the agenda 2 weeks ago. I gave Jonathan a heads up because I didn't know if he had notified or not. I guess there was an issue with the butters, but these are the items there. You can have that copy. All right. And I'll ask GPI to include you by email tomorrow if you haven't already. But you can have that advanced copy.
Yeah.
Those are the items we're looking to have done. The board's probably going to direct you on a time frame.
Okay, Mr. Zar, you have something?
So I got a question, Mr. Cabral, and for this gentleman. The wall that you guys have built going from 44 to people's backyards, but that's all still their property. Who's responsible for maintaining that? Because you have trees growing out of the brick walls, the concrete walls going up, and then it's actually going onto your the septic lot too, of that whole strip of land on 44 is, you know, on the other side. When you have, when people have been dumping grass over there too. It looks like people have been dumping grass.
He just left. But,
Oh, I don't know.
Wrong.
I don't know who it was,
Wrong Pimentel, that's his brother.
oh, that's his brother. I thought it was the same guy.
but it's all overgrown. You have the stumps coming out of the actual cement wall, the building block wall they made, and then mounds of grass. I don't know. That's gonna be, is that the homeowner's property still, or is that
I
the
haven't-
homeowner association, that whole wall?
We just came in to clean up the mess that was left by the
Yeah.
developer.
Yeah.
So that is one that I haven't heard from GPI,
No,
from anybody.
because we don't, so it's not inside our neighborhood, he's talking about from up on.
No, you see it from
Yeah,
But that's still
Yeah.
someone's property.
yeah.
In
Well,
that
my
wall,
understanding, 6 feet in is the town's property.
that's more than 6 feet. That's probably
So
about
I don't
15
know.
feet
You
in.
have to
But
measure.
So, no, but is that,
I'm just saying, if you guys want to take a look at it, because you have the trees growing out, and someone's been dumping grass over there and falling down on the other side. I don't know if that's a personal
Yeah.
property, homeowners association. or-
somebody over there, you can know better than I, but doesn't somebody at the end of that cul-de-sac not part of the HOA, or they bought the lot?
Yeah, it's an
separate
AR
from-
lot. From what I understand. It's an AR lot, when I was
Okay.
told what it was.
So is that where the wall is?
That's where that wall is, yeah.
Then it's his lot. That don't belong to that. It doesn't belong to the HOA. It doesn't belong to the town because it's past 6 feet, even without measuring it.
Yeah.
But
Would you guys be able to take a look at it though? Because it
Sure,
does
no, we'll
abut
take a
the
look.
septic
We'll-
system lot too.
We'll be out there Friday.
When they're out there, just to take a quick look at it.
Yes. Where that wood fence is, that's an AR lot.
Well, I'm looking at the whole brick wall. You have stumps that are
Yeah, if
coming
you're
out
going
from
from
the
the brick
actual
wall
walls.
down, I don't know who'd be responsible for that.
Tell me
whenever-
for somebody who doesn't know, what's an AR lot?
I don't know, just using the acronyms, that's what I was told.
A&R lot's a frontage lot that's usually cut out at the
There you go.
beginning of a development. Basically, as long as you have enough area and frontage, you can cut, under Massachusetts law, cut a lot out. A lot of times what developers will do, they'll cut an initial lot out and then develop the rest of the property. Very similar to what we see over at Cooper Road on Arcade Avenue.
Yeah. So that's the only house, there's a couple other houses that come up Palmer River. One of them is technically, their address is not Palmer River, but the mailbox is on Palmer River, but that's a separate issue.
Sorry, John, I was just gonna, the only other place where there may be some mention of that retaining wall might be in some of the documents related to that shared septic system, which was approved through the Board of Health. And I think actually you guys have two separate homeowner associations because not every lot in there is tied into that shared septic system.
We do, so we have one
Yeah.
for drainage and then we have one for septic.
so it may
when
be-
we bill Ruben would be.
Yeah, so it may be whichever one of that is the septic group ultimately is responsible.
Oh, and by the way, when we bought the houses, we had no idea there was an HOA. So that was fun at closing.
Another piece of Massachusetts law.
Again,
Not you.
That's not you, that's the developer's fault.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay,
That's
so
the
we
developer's fault,
have
not
this
yours,
now,
previous developer.
we've discussed this enough, thank you very
Yeah.
much, as I always tell the other person to come in, and I'm ready.
I'll make a motion to continue this public hearing to November 13th at 6 PM
Yes.
at Town Hall, 6 PM at Town Hall.
Second.
Okay, that's at 6:51 PM, continue to November 13th. Any questions? All in favor? Unanimous. So it's basically, the public hearing is gonna stay open until then,
Understood,
and then hopefully you will
yes.
be done.
Do you need any of the records of,
I don't. What does it do with, does that
No, we
mean-
have a list of all the abutters that you sent it to.
okay,
It's in our packet.
yeah, I know, but I didn't know if
Yeah,
I need to
he does.
prove that I,
Yeah,
He's gonna take-
the administrator goes to put on file.
okay. You take it off.
Thank you very much.
Same things.
Okay. Next, we have public hearing to consider the proposal and adoption of an order to lay out the roadways Roseanne Court within the farmland estate subdivision in accordance with the as-built plan and legal description. Motion to open the public hearing at 6:52 PM.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Roseanne Court. Hello there.
Hi, how are you? I'm Kristen Master Pietro.
Hi, Mr. Mr. Petro, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, from what I understand from our last meeting, Mr. Cabral, on Roseanne Court, there was an issue with the tack on the road and the damage to Lincoln Street. Well,
I wouldn't call it damage.
yeah, we call it damage either. It has to do with the marks from the paving guys.
Yes, there were two concerns. One was the tracking onto Lincoln Street, but that's kind of
Subside.
subside, yeah, it's, the levels out there weren't that significant. They kind of, with the sun and everything else, kind of dried out, so Lincoln Street did not become a safety concern. We were concerned about it initially because the tack coat had been applied to the entire length of the roadway coming out of this cul-de-sac, and the trucks were tracking that directly out onto, Lincoln Street. The other concern was the amount of the tack coat applied to bind that together. It was an excess amount. That was also documented by a report from GPI, but that's the main concern that I have with accepting this particular roadway. But I'll wait until you might have further questions, or unless you let me elaborate a little bit.
Is that still an issue?
So
Are we saying the marking on Lincoln Street is not an issue now?
The tracking of the tack coat that the trucks, when they were leaving the site,
Right.
tracked out into the roadway is not an issue at this point.
Okay.
That is dried out, it didn't get to be as thick out there as we had thought that it could, fortunately. The concern that I still have, and GPI happens to be the same inspecting engineer out there, had a concern about the amount of tack applied to the binder course, which was the existing asphalt down there before they put that top course of asphalt on. So the tack coat is your binding agent between those two. And it's supposed to fall within a certain rate, and this was in excess of that rate, visually in excess of that rate. It can cause problems with it not adhering properly, and the indication from GPI was they're recommending we wait till the spring to re-evaluate and reassess the roadway. So just wanted to-
We do
That
have,
is in their report. They've indicated they've seen this, where there's been an excessive amount of tack coat on the roadway applied before when they've had some unraveling of the roadway. And they just had that concern before the town would accept it, to know that there could be some issues that we're not gonna see today that could show up 6 months from now.
Okay.
our,
Would you? Yes.
yeah, we do have there were 225 gallons of tack used from our tacking company. Our concern is, GPI's concern they're not concerned about the entire street, they're concerned about the entryway. We also saw some discrepancies in the report as far as the inspector left, and left his associate there. So throughout the process, our paving contractor, it says that he was informed that he was using too much, but according to our contractor, no one had said anything. Even when they broke, he would always ask, is everything okay? Is everything fine? And also at the entryway piece, before he started the entryway, he asked the inspector, do you want me to put sand down, gravel, things like that? And he said, nope, I think you're good to go. And then towards the end of the project, pretty much all of a sudden, there was an issue with the tacking. I've been in contact with Mr. Noyes, the inspector, as far as what the requirements were for everything. He was able to tell me the appropriate mixture for paving, everything. I asked him straight up. Then when I asked him what's the appropriate amount of tacking, he said, I don't know. All I know is that there was too much from what I could see. So when speaking with my paving contractor and tacking contractor, they informed me that the inspector never measured how much was in the tank, didn't ask. Also, what else did he say? Didn't check the temperature, didn't ask for any receipts. The other piece in the report we saw was that the tacking company left before they could ask receipts. That's also incorrect. There was no inspector there when the tacking company left. So we're just kind of, from what we could see in the report, it sounds like we followed the town's regulations and Mass DOT regulations as acceptable, except the entryway is where they're questioning it. We've also had that week of super hot weather. My paving contractor and tacking contractor said if we were to see some issues that would have happened because of the weather, you would have seen it leading through. We haven't seen any of that. Everything that was also recommended to our contractor, we fixed the berms. There's already grass growing. My dad threw down all the loom. So we're following all the requirements that are being told to us. We're just wondering, like, if we're gonna wait till the spring to go through this process again, what's gonna happen when they salt the roads, pave the roads? So if there's damage caused from those type of things, and it's our responsibility and it's not the tacking issue, who's gonna cover those costs or things like that? So we just feel like based on the report, everything seems acceptable for that piece that they're saying the tacking, we feel like it would be showing now, especially where the seam is, where the street came together, things like that. So we're not seeing that. I live on the street, he lives on the street. I'm sure some of you have driven down the street to see, but that's kind of where we're at. We're just trying to do the right thing and get this approved.
Jack, could I just point out a couple things, ask a couple questions? I just wanted to point out that there were some temperatures included in GPI's report. And then Kristen, you had mentioned the amount of the tack coat that your
Yes.
contractor used, what the total was?
Yep, 225.
225, okay, I just wanted to note for the select board.
You can have a copy too.
Don't need it right now, thanks. On the first page of GPI's report, the last paragraph there mentions what the amount should not exceed, and it mentions amount of 250 gallons. So for what that's worth, I just wanted to point those 2 points out.
Well, according to their report, at 10 a.m. that day that they went down to inspect, they had informed,
Yes, but the inspector actually, it wasn't James Noyes, it was the Nick that was there, his associate,
Noah Green.
Noah Green, sorry. It was
That's all right. No, that's all right.
And when I was speaking.
Because they informed the subcontractor about the tack coat application was 0.06 to 0.08 gallons per square yard, which is basically they're supposed to use a gallon every 4 feet of roadway, which I'm not a road person.
Right, and I think too, like talking to the inspector and asking him, like I asked him straight out, how much is acceptable? And he said, I don't know, your paving contractor should know that. Well, my paving contractor did. So I feel like it's more based off of his vision of what he saw or what was pictures were taken. My dad was on the job the entire day. Nobody inquired to him or our paving company. The other piece too is on page 2 of the GPI report. It does state that the thickness of the surface course should prevent the tack coat bleeding through to the surface. So this is where it's contradicting. So you're saying we're good and it's acceptable, but then you're saying if it does bleed through, it's going to be most noticeable at the entrance of Roseanne Court. So I don't know, it's that piece, like I said, that's contradicting to me. So we're acceptable, we follow the regulations, but it could happen, a maybe could happen anytime.
So Mr. Cabral, did you go back and look at the entrance? Because as she was saying, it does say if inadequate bonding does occur, it should be first and most noticeable at the entrance from Lincoln Street, with vehicles turning, of course, onto Roseanne Court.
I did see that in their report.
Because that's gonna be the most traveled.
Well, I would say, they did put that in their report, so they can stay behind that. I will let you know, I was up there on the site. I personally think there's probably gonna be more concern at the low points down by the catch basins, because they applied the top coat to the entirety of the roadway from a cul-de-sac out to Lincoln Street. And I have pictures I was gonna share with you if you wanna see them, just so you can get a visual on it, but, the amount of tack that was put out there was running and causing puddles on 2 areas there because it had been sitting there for a while.
But have you been out there recently?
I have gone out there.
Because I have too, and,
So on face value of the surface, everything appears okay. And they had the proper compaction, the heat was the proper temperature coming out of the truck. The big unknown is how well that's gonna adhere to bind the two together. And there's not a lot of traffic on the road. I happen to print out a few pictures for you guys, because I know a lot of you are visual. If you want them, I can pass them around. One of them was a condition of the roadway visually at Roseanne Court. And then I happened to be on a job, they had paved Burson Road, different company. Visually on that one, you can see the difference we're talking about visually. And that's the bonding agent. So again, too much of that agent, it's not gonna necessarily show up today or tomorrow. And you really probably won't really have a good assessment on it until springtime. That's all I'm getting. So at the end of the day, the board's gonna decide.
No, I understand what you're saying. Now, we have problems similar to this on other roadways with the tack. You thought the tack was too much for the adhesive.
So, well, a couple things taken into account also. Since I've been here 17 years, working paving jobs, I've never seen this much tack on the road. The other thing that was a little bit different here was they applied that tack coat using a wand. So they had the truck popped with a long hose on it and manually with the wand spread that around onto the road.
But they said that was acceptable, though not recommended.
But at the same time, it was when I asked, what are the requirements? The inspector, who's a representation of the town, that I'm following his directions. When I asked him, is there anything else? What map out what we need? We're not developers. We're not in the paving company. So we're just trying to do right by the town and follow the rules. When I asked, that was not in there. So to see it show up on the report, can you see, it's kind of like a blind side. That's how we feel. So
But they said it was acceptable.
they
Not
said it was
recommended.
acceptable, but they never recommended.
Acceptable, but not recommended, but that doesn't mean it wasn't, it's not
It's
wrong.
acceptable. It's,
But all I'll tell you there, in that regard, when they typically apply it using a truck, like you normally have a regular truck with a spray bar in the back, it's all computerized. And they usually don't do the whole roadway, they usually do 100 feet, couple hundred feet at a time. So, they're not trying to pick on the subdivision here.
Right.
I'm just telling you, the paving job that I've seen, this is the first time I've ever seen anybody apply a tack with a wand. It was visually excessive compared to any other job I've seen. And when they put that down with the tack truck, it's spread uniformly across the road.
Yep.
I'll say this probably was not uniformly spread across that entire roadway, and you can see it in the puddles on the pictures of it.
So that's basically the issue for the company that did the tax spreading. Are they the same people that are doing the,
Paving.
okay?
They're applying that just in advance of the paving, and again, I just wanna provide you the information that I have, my concerns, given what I saw.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to visually take a look at these pictures, you're more than welcome,
I went out there myself and looked at it.
but you didn't see the tacking, that's all I'm getting.
Well, the
Well,
thing is, when you mentioned something about the, I guess it is tax, because that's what you call it, at a drain thing, I saw it looked like it was flowing down to the drain. I mean, even with me, because I'm not a paver either, so.
You're talking about the
I
grade
did
to the catch basin.
The catch basin,
The grade to the catch basin was pitched. That's what you said.
yes, the grade is pitched, which I don't have a problem with, but you could see the black tack looked like it was running down to the catch basin and like piling up along the edge of the catch basin. And that's a catch basin all the way down
For the cul-de-sac.
to the cul-de-sac on the right.
Yes, and that's kind of my point, the amount that was on that roadway just was excessive, for my skin.
Okay, so have you gone back to your paving and, contractor to discuss this with them?
yeah, they told us if it was too much tacking, the roller wouldn't have even been able to roll and spread the asphalt. And we told them all of the concerns. They followed the recommendations that were given, but the only recommendation, we're being denied because they want to wait 6 months. Our concern is, that's fine, we can wait. However, those other things that, like I said, salt being on there or paving and things getting destroyed in the meantime, we have to foot the bill when we put together a separate surety to finish the road, and we've been using that surety to do the next steps and follow the protocol and everything. So what happens if something else comes into play? Or if in the spring, there is no bleeding and there is, what
Okay,
happens?
give me a second, can you just give me 1 second?
Mhm.
Is there anybody here to, this is a public hearing, to speak in favor of the acceptance of this road, Rosine Court? Is there anyone here to speak against the accepting of Rosine Court? Okay, so there's nobody in the public, so go ahead and start.
All right. So with that in mind, Mr. Cabral, question. If the excessive tacking is the issue, remind me again, if it's bleeding through, is it gonna cause additional damage to the roadway?
So I guess there's two separations. The bleeding through is one aspect of it, indicating that there's too much fat. It hasn't occurred yet. There's an inch and a half to be. It hasn't been summertime weather either. So the other part is just the sheer amount of that adhesive or the binding agent that you're putting down was, in my opinion, excess. vision. So I don't know how well that's gonna bind me. Even though it looks good today, I just don't know how long that's gonna hold up.
So let me ask the follow-up question then. Given Dispatcher Pietro's, concerns with winter conditions, right? Salt paving, et cetera. Would that have any impact with the excess tacking to the roadway and creating some damage?
So well, first of all, I guess in terms of salting, we typically do not salt residential streets. So we would not be putting salt on this roadway, number one. And we can make certain we didn't put salt on this particular roadway this roadway. In general, we're just salting main and secondaries. We have a couple locations, not all residential streets, but some residential streets, get a little special attention because of hills and whatever it may be. We have a listing of those residential roadways that we treat. This would be a roadway we would keep the salt on. And in terms of regular plowing operations, I would like to think any roadway just paved is gonna hold up, for at least a winter.
And technically, we don't pave or salt private ways. Just want to throw that out.
So Lincoln Street's the main road, so salt's gonna be hitting the entrance of that street,
Which is the area that they're concerned
which
about.
is the concern.
So I guess the main concern here is the tacking coming through the pavement, right? And whether it's gonna hold the pavement. It doesn't seem like the salting or the winter conditions are
Gonna be a factor.
gonna be a factor here, right?
Okay.
So if I'm projecting out and really assuming that you've done what you've been asked to do for road acceptance, right? And really now it's just kind of a wait and see because the town side would says, hey, we're just not quite sure the tacking works. You're saying, hey, we think we got it and it's done. There really should be no other work. It doesn't look like, when I look at the planning board's report, it doesn't look like they're concerned about any other work to be done by you, right? It's just kind of a wait and see, and it's the town protection, right? I think, quite honestly, I don't, if the tacking was an issue, we'll see road damage, right, when we get back, and quite honestly, I don't think we're really gonna see much because aside from tomorrow, which will be your probably warmest
Summer
day
day.
you're gonna see until, Springtown meeting the next year or beyond, right?
Yeah.
I think if the tacking really that bad and it shows up in the winter conditions, then it's gonna show up in the winter conditions, right? If not, I think you'd be good to go and be ready to go for Springtown meeting.
Okay.
I understand your concern. I truly believe you guys stand by your work and believe your contractor has done the work properly, and I would, support you in that, but I do from a town perspective on this. That's why I wanted to know how the winter conditions, if that would impact the work, then you'd probably be having a little bit of a different conversation.
Right.
But I think if we think that the winter conditions wouldn't have that much of an issue based on the tacking itself, then I would just, from a town perspective, I'd have to recommend that we wait until Springtown meeting.
Okay. Did you want to say something? Good.
What am I gonna say?
So what would our next steps? What would our next steps be?
I'm just speaking from my
Oh,
opinion.
okay.
The rest of the board has
Their
to weigh in here, but I'm just saying based on what I'm seeing, hearing, and all that, I don't see additional, if your work is done to the acceptable level of what's supposed to be done, then we're not talking about any additional costs or anything else left to be done for you, come spring, right? If it's not, that'll show itself in what conditions, which would be odd, right? And it'll tell you.
Right.
I think you got a different conversation with the contractor, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
We know the construction company and the paving company, so I mean, it's not a question of them because I've seen them do things.
Right.
But as Mr. Sullivan said, we have to be concerned with the town, okay? And there is a question because Mr. Cabral has a question and he's the man we usually go to about this. So, basically what your next step would be if the board decides not to put this on the warrant for, November 18th, between now and then, we'll have a better look, Mr. Cabral will have a better look at the roadway And hopefully in May, I can't tell you the exact date, which is our next town meeting, where you would basically come before us again with this, to have it accepted, and then we get a report. You would do GPI again, would you, Mr. Carroll? Get a report from them on the road?
So the reassessment,
Yeah.
they probably would want to do that just because they've
Just
been
asking.
involved. But I would
Yeah.
certainly get their opinion as well, and I think just
Okay.
check it out.
My question about that, so when they reassess it, they're just reassessing their concern about the tacking?
So what would be, what I'd be looking for out there come springtime is if any part of that roadway starts to unravel, you're in a bond. So when you put that layer of asphalt on top of the existing asphalt, if that tack was too heavy out there and didn't let it to adhere properly, you're gonna see areas where it's gonna start to come up. And that would ultimately be what I would do. And I would be looking not just at the entryway, but I would be looking at those low points where it gray and puddle up a bit, probably more by the catch basins, but the whole road, I'd be checking the whole road out, given the pictures I've got. That, just to make sure it holds on. I would think at that point, if it were gonna come unraveled, it would show signs of unraveling by the springtime.
And I would tell you that the Maytown meeting right now is May 12th. So I would start this,
The report reassessing in March.
in March, as far as getting a hold of Mr. Cabral again. Not that he won't keep us up to date, because he will. But I would say in March to start thinking about this again, to get everything in line, to come before us like you are now, before, I would say in April, because we try to get the warrant done. We try at least a month ahead of time,
Okay,
even though sometimes that doesn't happen.
so for us, we just,
If that's what
Real
the,
quick, just one quick, Mr. Alvin, they would need to come back before planning to get approval for roadway acceptance.
I mean,
Correct?
depending on how the select board wants to handle it, I don't know that the select board could lay the road out but not put it forward for acceptance. Or if the board wanted to continue the public hearing on to a date certain, sometime in April or March. Or just have the applicant refile. If we go that route, then it would go back through the same process. From the planning board's perspective, I think any concerns that we had were expressed in the memorandum, and through GPI's report. I think the one open question was, again, the amount of tack that was out there. GPI noted it shouldn't be more than 250. I know the Master DiPietro this evening had documentation tonight that it was at 225. That, I would think kind of gives us a little bit of confidence that we should be pretty good when we're in the spring. I'm not a roadway engineer. I'm not a paver, although I was a landscaper, as I mentioned before. So I can't really speak with any knowledge as to what the, a proper amount is, how it looks in a picture or anything like that. I think as far as process-wise, those would be the three routes to take.
But we can effectively make a motion here that puts it contingent upon a positive recommendation from GPI and
But yeah, just like I said, either, I think probably laying out the road is probably maybe a bridge too far, but either continue it on or just asking the Master Petros to come back with a new application in the spring would probably be the two most sensible approaches.
I'm gonna ask a real dumb question. How difficult is it to make this application? Because if they have to redo the application again, is that money and time consuming?
Oh, it's certainly time.
I know it's
As far
time
as
consuming,
it's
but
an
I'm thinking of money if
application
we.
through Sean's office, I don't think is there an application fee, Sean?
It's not an application.
No, I don't think there's an application fee, and even the notice, I think we do.
Right, we do
Yeah,
notice.
so it's really just a matter of filing the paperwork.
Oh,
And I think there's a small fee for the assessors abutters list. Like
The what?
The abutters list. You
yeah,
have to apply to the assessor's office to get the abutters list to make the application.
Okay.
it's about $70.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, what are the other members? We've been talking, what do the other members think?
I'm in agreement with waiting till the spring.
I-
But as far as continuing it or making a file again, doesn't matter to me.
I was
Well,
just
would
gonna ask,
I would continue it. I mean, I honestly, in this situation, I feel bad because we have a development that's followed almost all the rules. And we have one small issue compared to some of the developments we have in this community that haven't followed any rules. And it's just unfortunate that there's a question about the amount of tack that was put down.
Yeah, but
Because I think the
that's
development has
all-
been put in, I think it's been put into the standards, been required. And I just feel bad that, you know, the family itself has to wait until, the spring to get final acceptance of the roadway. But I would accept continuing it. And I wouldn't have them file a new application and go through all that time and effort again. I would just continue this to a meeting in March or April and get a report.
So can I just make a recommendation? So if we want to continue it, I wouldn't necessarily continue the public hearing. I'd just close the public hearing because it's just that, I guess that one last review of the pavement. And then they can just come back before us in March or April.
So they would have to pay for the.
Right.
So they don't have to do, we don't have to do
Right.
another public hearing.
Are you comfortable with that? Because I think that's the only concern is the tack in the roadway itself, the structural portion of it. That's what my.
So, don't go anywhere. We'll make a motion to 7:20. Make a motion to end the public hearing at 7:20 PM.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, so the public hearing is closed. So are we going to make a motion to, we're gonna have to make a motion because this is considered a proposal and adoption. So we close the public hearing, but now we're gonna have to make a motion to, continue until, continue till a meeting in March, which I cannot tell you what those dates are.
When do you want to do it in March? Or you want to do it in March or April?
I would say do it in March. What day?
Just for my input, if you do it April 9th, that gives you 2 weeks in April, 2 Wednesdays in April. You'll definitely have a meeting by the 9th. That's best I can tell now. And I'd be more comfortable waiting until April, beginning of April, to reassess. But
So we can continue to the first Board of Selectmen's meeting in April. That sound good?
That way, because you don't know if you're gonna have that
Yeah, I
meeting
know.
on the 2nd or the 9th, so.
Right. Okay, so we'll
Should be no more posting.
make, I'll take a motion to continue this, continue the adoption of an order to lay out the roadway Roseanne Court within the farmland estate subdivision till the first Board of Selectmen meeting in April.
Second,
Any other discussion?
just so we.
I was like, just to clarify, so we just hang tight until April and then we'll be notified that someone came out and reassessed the road. We don't have to contact.
But
So-
don't be vigilant about it, okay? So that we don't forget it's a long time between now and April.
Oh, don't worry.
So
This is my second
yeah.
job.
My recommendation is that by beginning of March,
Start calling.
call Mr. DeBrol.
Hey, don't pick up this time?
If he doesn't call me,
Call
okay.
Mr. DeBrol and start that process, and then
Yeah.
you reach out to Chair Hines and just leave a note at the town administrator's office to make sure that you're on the upcoming meeting.
Okay,
The first meeting in April.
all right, so
Because
start
it-
calling in March.
Yeah, because
Good idea.
the agendas get done a week to a week and a half ahead of time, right? So
Yeah.
they're starting to build and they need to get that put together.
Okay,
So the earlier you let them know, they get that and make sure it's ready. If you were to call the Tuesday before the meeting, when you think it was gonna show up,
yep,
it's not gonna be on the agenda and they may not be prepared to have that.
okay.
Yeah, I
So-
want you to have plenty of time.
So, okay, great.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed?
Nay,
Huh?
I oppose.
Okay. 4 in favor, 1 against. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have this, nope, public hearing.
We can put to the right. Do this, do that.
Open the public hearing to consider, for the consideration of the request for a one-day special event permit to hold a memorial tree lighting event at 4 Echoes Vintage Shop, 384 River Avenue, Seekonk, Mass, and Gristmill Cabin, 394 River Avenue, Seekonk, Mass, on November 30th, 2024, from 5 PM to 8 PM. That was a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay, and you folks are,
I'm Neil Nato from Four Echoes.
okay?
Carl Pelletier, the owner of the gristmill.
Okay, so you want to give us a little bit, just so that people that are listening to us or watching us tonight, if this is working, knows what this is about? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just to show a little something.
So a community event open to the community to do a tree lighting, some festivities with hot chocolate, cookies, pictures, and then as well as memorial trees for folks to decorate for loved ones that are no longer with us, and just a night to have the community together, caroling and stuff like that, and lights, lots of lights.
And you're gonna say ditto?
Same thing, yeah. Yeah.
I would like to thank you for calling the town hall and asking. Last year, we kind of did it Seekonk and you folks did it on the same night. So now people have to choose whether to go see you over there or come to the town hall. And, thank you very much for calling. So your date and the town's date is
Separate now.
so
yes.
everybody can go to yours, and we can also, if we want, to go to yours, and then
Vice
they
versa.
can also go to the town hall. So thank you very much. for
No
that.
problem, we'll
I
keep it that way
appreciate
as well.
Yes. Do we have anybody from the public that wants to talk in favor of this, one-day special event permit at Four Echoes Vintage Shop and the Gristmill Cabin? Anyone in the audience want to talk against this one-day special permit? Okay, well, does anybody in the board want to say anything?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you guys have permission to use, for Country Club, their
Yes.
parking lot this year?
Yes.
I mean, you guys draw a big crowd, so, which is good.
Yes, the rocks are gone, thank goodness, so.
Oh, that's
The
nice.
boulders are gone and we've gained about 180 spots, so.
Okay, and they're fine with it, right?
Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah,
all on
yeah,
board.
Murillo is very good, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's awesome, he's actually probably gonna put some lights up and stuff, so we're excited.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, anyone else? Anything? Okay, I'll take a motion at 7:26 to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, public hearing is closed. Now I'll take a motion to approve the one-day special event permit to hold a memorial tree lighting event at Four Echoes Vintage Shop, 384 River Avenue, and the Gristmill Cabin, 394 River Avenue, on November 30th, 2024, from 5 PM to 8 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I'll see you then. Okay, so G was to consider opening fall town meeting warrant to include the request to lay out the roadway Roseanne Court within the farmland estates subdivision. So I'll take a motion to indefinitely postpone that. As soon as we're done.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Chris?
No.
4 in favor. Mr. Zora? Opposed? Discussion of the town administrator's goals and objectives for fiscal year 25. We usually do the two together, right? Do we want to do just yours, ours?
To the board.
You want to do them together? Okay, we're gonna open up, both. We're gonna have a discussion of the town administrator's goals and objectives and of the board of selectmen's goals and objectives for fiscal year 2025. Do you want to? Yeah, sure. Yeah, you want.
So Madam Chairwoman, I did email the board, and then there's also copies on the table for the board. So I put together some recommendations with my FY 25 goals. The first is the human capital management module, which will be part of our Tyler Technologies. So for the board, I know you're familiar, Tyler Technology is the company that is the Unit system. It also does our executive time, currently, or our former EnerGov, our online permitting, our old online permitting. So in the Tyler Technologies, we actually have this module that has not been implemented. So my goal would be to implement this and actually use this to help streamline the process, both internally and then also to give access to our employees for the management of the recruitment. So basically, essentially human capital. So recruitment, benefits, payroll, things of that nature. So we're not duplicating services and everything. We then fall into be able to kind of merge right into Munis without duplicating those services. So that is quite time consuming. So that would have to be a multi-year goal. So that would be over 2 years. Second one is to continue to provide department heads with professional development trainings. And then the third would be to complete the economic development study for the Route 6 corridor. So we would need to apply for a second round of the Community One Stop for Growth grant, which typically opens up in January, February, with the deadline in last day in April. So April 20, that's actually just say 2020.
Okay.
Trying to rush time. So those are the three that I have.
We did that once already, didn't we? You said the
Yeah,
grant for the Community One Stop for Growth on Route 6.
Yeah, so that was the first part of it.
Right, and now this is the second part here. And you have to reapply.
Correct.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, given the fact that these two discussion items are the first that we are really kind of having a chance to even have a conversation about it, or even consider it for that matter, because we just were getting updated here on the 24 goals, and now that we're seeing what the town administrator's recommended goals are, I would recommend that we take some time here to digest what the town administrator sent to us. And that we continue this conversation so that people have an opportunity to more thoughtfully consider what the board's goals should be and what the town administrator's goals, and make sure that we are all okay with that, until the next meeting.
Anyone else have anything to say? Any questions?
I would like to see within that study, not only the Route 6 corridor, but also, and I'm not sure how we can incorporate it, but figuring out a way, what your vision would be for town-owned properties that we continue to hold on to, and what the future uses of those properties are going to be, and what we could potentially see on those pieces of property, whether it's for our own use, or a residential use, or a commercial use. And I'm not exactly sure how we put that in. It might take longer than a year, because obviously, if the DPW project passes, in another couple of years, we're gonna have another piece of property here on Route 44 that we're gonna be looking at. What are we going to do with it long-term, instead of just letting it sit there? So I think it's probably like a multi-year question.
No,
or
that's
or
fine.
recommendation or request to look at and plan for the future, like what we're going to do with these properties that we have, and how we can incorporate future use or future expansion of the use of those properties to benefit one way or another for the town of Seekonk, that's all.
Maybe it should be taken as two separate things as an option. One goal is.
I was
the
gonna
Route
say
6 corridor
two
as
separate,
it is
because
right
I
now,
don't-
and This is
Yeah.
a second.
I don't know if that, you're gonna apply for a grant, I don't know if that grant.
Yeah, it wouldn't fit into that, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
right? It's,
No,
Again, an item 4.
you wanna think about that a little bit before you say it?
I don't think
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
I don't think it's fair to just have them.
No, I know, but if he
Exactly.
wants to say something about it, I want.
No, he doesn't.
I agree with Ms. Daly. I think strategically we need to start looking at the properties that we own, which ones we want to maintain and keep, and then obviously the ones that we want to get back from our tax rolls.
Yeah, okay, so we can add that without too much fuss from you. This is good.
But I do agree that I think we should discuss it at another meeting.
Okay, I agree. So we're gonna make a motion to continue items E and F of the town administrator's goals and objectives for the fiscal year 25 and the board of selectmen goals and objectives for fiscal year 2025 to the next meeting, which is November 13th, I believe.
Yep.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And Sean, if you have any goals that were actually printed up for the board of selectmen, could you get us them, please? Because I haven't found those.
I don't think we had it.
I haven't seen any either.
Okay, okay, so we'll. Michael, are you getting ready for the presentation?
He is, exactly.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
He thought we moved on,
Okay,
so.
all right, we're moving on. First quarter budget presentation, go.
Good movie. We'll keep this quick.
Maybe it won't be as quick as you thought it was gonna be.
So fiscal year 25 budget, balanced to date with no major issues, salaries trending below budget forecasts, expenses trending below target on quarter one, and then our revenues are trending ahead of budget projections. As the board knows, fiscal year 24 free cash was certified on September 12th. The general fund received $4.6 million, the enterprise fund $1 million. We will be making those appropriations based on the financial policy for the general fund free cash to the various stabilization accounts. For the assessors update, residential market growth, the average residential value for FY25 is $521,924. That's compared to a value of $494,807 for fiscal year 24. For our new growth, which has been certified by the Department of Local Services, we budgeted $600,000. We were certified $685,612. So that exceeded our budget for that revenue. Tax recap, the assessors continuing to work on the recap and will be submitted at the next, so the November 13th meeting. The board will be setting the tax factor, and then once the tax factor is set, after town meeting, the assessor and the town accountant will submit the recap to DLS for approval. I also point out that the town accountant and the finance director submitted her schedule, well, the town Schedule A on September 12th, and that was approved on September 14th, and the deadline for the Schedule A is actually October 31st. So we were a couple of months ahead of schedule on that. Also, she submitted the Community Preservation Act Balance Fund report on August 20th, and that also had a deadline of October 31st. Treasurer's Office quarter one update, year-end reporting. All year-end reporting was reconciled and reviewed with the Director of Finance and submitted to DLS. So that included the statement of indebtedness, outstanding receivables, treasurer's year-ends cash, and cash recon. The Treasurer's Office is working on fiscal year 2024 workers' comp audit review. For the Collector's Office, quarter one updates, tax title process for FY24. The first round of letters were sent to property owners on August 20th. There was 100 letters that were sent out. Advertising letters were sent out on September 17th and were due back by October 1st. 62 letters went out from there. The advertisements were posted on October 11th. 22 parcels were advertised and liens were assessed on October 25th. For the disposal bills, the FY24 liens will be assessed in late November to go on the actual FY25 real estate bills, which will be out once the tax recap and the tax rate is certified. So that will be by the end of December. FY25 bills were issued September 17th and were due October 17th. As the board recalled, we did have a payment option because the increases of the trash bills due to the new contract that we entered into. So we have the half pay option, and according to the Treasurer's Office, many did take advantage of that. So the remainder of the bills will be due on March 31st of 2025. Okay, I'm sorry.
Make note in your presentation that, for people who are listening, that there will be no reminder for that.
Yes.
For the people
and-
who took advantage of
Yeah,
that.
so they were reminded that by the treasurer's office as well, so a reminder bill will not be sent out for the trash bills. FY25 actual real estate and personal property bills will be issued, as I mentioned earlier, by December 31st. Tax title update, real estate tax title, 58 parcels currently in tax title, that's 20 new parcels that were added. We continue to have 4 active payment plans for installment agreements. We've had 0 parcels that have been acquired through tax title since July 1st of 2024. We still currently have 20 cases that are moving through land court. Moving on to revenue, as I mentioned before, we're roughly about $565,000 above our Q1 budgeted forecast, which is good. Our real estate collections taxes is coming in on target at 25.6%. So year to date for the first quarter, we've collected $12.8 million. Our total commitment is $50 million. Personal property, we're above target. Commitment was $3.8 million. Year to date, we've collected just over $1 million, and the collection rate is 28.1%. For our motor vehicle excise, when you compare this to the last couple of years, we're slightly below where we typically are. So we tend to see in the first quarter about a 10% collection rate. What we have here is a 5.8%, so $171,643 were collected for Q1. We were anticipating about $295,000 coming in for Q1, but the large commitment does not come in until Q3. That's where we see the major portion of the commitment coming in for motor vehicle excise tax. Q2 we'll see a cumulative of 15%. So just to give you an understanding, so the first 2 quarters we anticipate about 15% of the motor vehicle excise revenue coming in. Last year, just as a reminder, we did budget $2.9 million, and we had $3.4 million that came in for fiscal year 24. So we just went up $50,000 on our budget commitment here. Not too concerned about that, but did want to point out that it's a little bit lower than we anticipated. As we continue to see with the meals tax and hotel tax, we continue to go above the target where we are committed, and we were somewhat aggressive with our collections for the meals tax and the hotel tax this year. So the meals tax commitment was $620,000. So year to date, we're at $206,000. That's 33% above our target. So we should be at 25% for the first quarter. Our hotel tax continues to also come in pretty good with a collection rate of 36.7%. So we have a commitment of $850,000 with $311,000 that came in for the first quarter. Marijuana retail tax, local option. So this is the first year that it's actually built in for our revenues into the general funds. That commitment was $429,419. This is also above target. So year to date, we have $228,265 for the quarter. Yep. So I know it's kind of hard to see on the slide here, but the percentage used, the red columns are the columns that, if you're looking at it from a 25% being for the first quarter, that is higher than 25%. So general government coming in at 28.7%, no major concerns overall. What's driving this up to 28.7% is our MIS budget, which is at 60% for expenditures. Contractual agreements have been paid up front in July, so that's just driving that percentage up. And then the assessor's office also pays in front at the beginning of the year RRC, who's our personal property consultant that goes out and does valuations. So their expense is at 46%. So that's why we're seeing a higher number in the percentage used which we typically expect. But if you're eyeballing it at 25%, that's why we're there. The second one is education, but as the board knows, Bristol Aggie, we always pay in July 1, so Bristol Aggie has been paid 100%, so Tri-County is still getting quarterly payments, so that will level off as well. The other area that's slightly high is culture and recreation at 26%. That's solely due to encumbrances for services that they provided, so it hasn't truly been spent, but it's encumbered, so it's just showing a higher value there. And then debt and interest, this is really on target. We have 50% of our debt and interest that was paid at the beginning of the fiscal year. And then finally, other fixed costs coming in at 48.9%. So we fully pay our pension liability to Bristol County Retirement in July. That's $3.9 million, so that's been paid. And then our insurance, so property insurance, liability insurance, has also been 100% paid for July. So that is why you're seeing the 48.9%. Outside of those areas, no major concerns. This is just a budget of salaries, so you can see that the salaries are below our budgeted projections at $933,000 for Q1. Again, vacancies, open positions are really driving those numbers and timing of hirings. Budgeted expenses, $486,000 below our projected forecasts, so $486,000 through Q1 based on what we're seeing in terms of trends. So overall, as I mentioned, very good shape for Q1. Questions?
Anybody on board have questions for Mr. Kadim?
I do not.
Nice job as always. Thank you.
I'm just waiting for everybody to put their paper down in case they have a question. Discussion regarding the Lincoln Street traffic concerns. Before I pass this over to Mr. Sullivan, I would just like to acknowledge an email that we received from a resident concerning the discussion we had last meeting on Lincoln Street traffic concerns. He's very concerned about the fact, some research that he had done, that stop signs discourage people more than make them stop, that possibly the construction, the design of the roadway is more of a deterrent to traffic than something like a stop sign or a signal light. And I'm sure that the committee acknowledges this as far as studying. They know there's gonna be more traffic on Lincoln Street. They do want the residents of Lincoln Street to have a peaceful coexistence with the Madeiras Farm property. So I'd like to thank the gentleman for sending us his concerns, and I'm sure that the committee is going to look into not only the stop signs, but the construction of the roadway itself. But I personally believe that the stop sign at Lincoln and Elm Street is a step in the right direction, even if it doesn't stay there forever because some kind of construction on the roadway changes later. I still think that's a good idea now, but I wanted to recognize the email to let people know that when you do email us, sometimes we don't get back to you right away because some of the things you send us, we need to look at to find out how to answer you. So, but I wanted to tell that gentleman that I personally did read it, and I did, actually, I don't know if I called him or sent him an email, but I wanted to publicly acknowledge that fact.
Thank you. Likewise. So just as a follow-up from our last meeting where we had talked about the stop signs to put up 2 stop signs on Lincoln Street to make that a 3-way or all-way stop area. Again, I know with that particular meeting, Mr. Cabral needed to look into the availability in order to provide this board with some more information in terms of timing, location, and all those kinds of things. And for the stop signs itself, in order for us to make a decision to put the stop signs up. Additionally, at last night's Madeiras Farm committee meeting, it was brought up again, and again, the committee seemed to welcome this as a early step in terms of addressing. We even had a neighbor from that immediate area who happened to be at the meeting and seemed to give a nod of approval as well in terms of the fact that some action towards just even addressing the traffic as it stands today, not just for concerns in the future project, but, as for what is going on today, there seems to be some acknowledgement that, appreciation that the board is willing to take on this concern. So, with that, I see Mr. Cabral here. Do you have to come forward if you have a second, please?
Good evening, again.
Can you tell us what you found so far in terms of stop sign availability and
So
thoughts and further thoughts since then?
we've located the stop signs we're looking for that light up to put on, Lincoln Street. And those should be in probably by the end of this week. We did save the locations. We also ordered 2 advanced stop sign head signs to draw attention to the fact that there's something going on at that location. It's typical what we've done, four-way stops or whatever, just to draw attention to it. Those locations have been marked out, those signs have been ordered, and we'll have those additional signs by Friday of this week. So I think realistically, we could be ready to go with installation by the end of next week if the board decides to move in that direction. And we would include the stop bars on all the approaches to draw attention to the fact that that's a stop condition.
Stop bars as in paint.
Paint, yes, painted stop lines.
Okay. Thank you. And you've identified the locations.
Yes, I've gone out there with, Jim and I both been out there this week. I had a foreman mark them out and we went and verified the locations for the stop sign locations that would work for all the different movements out there, as well as the 2 advanced signs on Lincoln Street. So they're all marked out and we're just waiting for the equipment to come in and the okay for the board to proceed. And we do have paint on hand to do those painted lines. The weather holds like this, we'll be in good shape. As I said, through November 15th, we're hoping, but we could get them out there as early as next week. So,
was there any further discussion with regards to doing traffic count? And I think that was a PD thing, right? Was there anything to do that?
Well, I know when I was still working, we had a traffic count, whatever it's called.
Yes.
We still have it?
Owns a, traffic count.
Yeah.
They'll give us speeds and things like that.
Okay.
It's speeds and the size of vehicles, whether they're trucks or cars.
In the timing of the vehicles, where the rush hours are and stuff.
If that's something that we're gonna ask them to do, they'll need to do it sooner than later. Well, it's snow.
I'll catch that too.
Yes.
I also did get the contact information for the terminal manager for FedEx. So I will set something up. So the chair, myself, Mr. Cabral, and then Chief Enos have the ability to meet.
Great. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
So if the, board is willing to consider, I'd like to make a motion to, insert 2 stop signs on, Lincoln Street on one on the southbound side, one on the northbound side at Elm Street to create a all-way stop.
I heard 4 and not all. That's all. That's the only reason I said that. Yeah, I know, you said an always stop, right? Always, okay. I heard
In speaking
4.
with Mr. Cabral, I'm hearing his language. I would say 3-way, he says all-way, so. In which we utilized, lighted stop signs in order to forewarn drivers of the new traffic pattern and new stop sign pattern there. In hopes that this is going to help help improve quality of life, especially for those pedestrians and residents over there.
So that was a motion.
That was the motion.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Yes, we do. I have one. Did you look at a stop sign on Elm Street? Does that need to be replaced? Should we put,
I am gonna replace that with a new 30-inch reflective stop sign just to put a new sign out there.
thank you.
To match the others. I'd like to just say that, I understand what we're trying to do. We're trying to slow the speeds down. But as the resident said in his letter, and as I think Mr. Cabral even alluded to last meeting, traffic signs are not meant to be traffic calming measures. They're meant for right away at intersections. I personally live near a stop sign. I live on a street that people cut through, especially when traffic's backed up. I see the people fly down the street. They come to a stop, or they don't come to a stop, they'll fly through it. And if they are coming down and the stop sign's there, they just pick up their speed going again once they go through it. So it may slow down cars at that intersection, but it's not gonna slow them down anywhere else on the street. I think if anything, it might cause more accidents because people don't know the things are there. Maybe with all the lights, they'll notice it sooner. But I just think that their speeds themselves on the rest of the road are not gonna go down. If anything, they're gonna go up, knowing that they're gonna try and make up time because they're gonna have to stop. I've seen it personally, living where I've lived for 20 plus years, almost 30 years. Especially when there's a lot of traffic on the highway and then you've got more people cutting through. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I'm sure there should be something. I would like to see like the speed limit signs put up. I didn't go down and drive the street, but I did look at the Google map. It is a couple of years old, 2 years old. And there's only one speed limit sign on that whole street. And it's heading north when you like first get on the Lincoln Street, and it's a 25-mile-an-hour sign, and there's no more signs on that street. Unless it's changed in the last 2 years, I don't know.
But I think that's because
But
if you put one up, the speed limit's gonna be higher than 25.
Well, on Lincoln Street right now, there's no regulation on Lincoln Street.
yeah,
So
there's one
it-
speed limit sign up on.
There is a speed limit sign out there, I saw that one too,
Yeah.
but since there is no regulation, there shouldn't be any speed limit signs. And that roadway by de facto doesn't mean that there isn't a speed limit, because the statutory speed limit on that roadway would be 30 miles an hour. And again, I think there's two separate issues here. One is gonna be the Madeira's Farm property as that evolves and becomes whatever it's gonna be, right? There's gonna be a study done, there could be a regulation that could be performed, probably while that's coming on board. I think there's things out there. I think the speed study will be interesting also because you have a curve coming from County Street. There's a curve there that we have advisory speed limits on because it's really shouldn't be going more than 20 miles an hour. We've signed that as such. I think the main concern that I see out here for right now is the fact that we're gonna have bicycles and pedestrians in this corridor that are out there now, and they're gonna increase over time. We kind of alluded to that last time. The concerns that I see, I don't like to use stop signs for traffic calming either, right? So the speed control, I mentioned about Cumberland, Rhode Island, years ago, I've seen them do that everywhere. But to stay focused here, I think the Madeira's Farm property has the opportunity as that group moves forward with the whole plan for that whole parcel. Wherever the recreation fields are gonna go, they may take into account things like sidewalks, crossings, there could be mid-block crossings. And I did respond, by the way, to Zach, that sent that email off.
Yes.
He's EIT, so he's an engineer in training. I just told him that we would take his comments under advisement, gave him a little bit more information. But again, I think the pedestrian and bicycle aspect out there are no sidewalks, there are no crossings. And it's difficult with the curves in that roadway with the traffic out there. At times, people coming down Elm Street, where are they crossing? There's no sidewalk. Sometimes they prefer to be on a different side of the roadway. And you do have the opportunity under the Madeira's Farm project, which I'm sure will have more traffic-related concerns because it's going to be that
And
type
could
of use.
completely change that whole intersection.
Yeah.
Based
And
on
even,
whatever the
even,
study may end up.
even on a geometric level, one of the things that Zach pointed out, and I don't think they're looking to do those improvements right now, it's kind of, putting the cart before the horse. I think even Elm Street and Lincoln Street geometrically could be looked at for improvements from a pedestrian standpoint and the whole bit. But as the prelude to it, given you do have pedestrians out there and bicyclists out there and no crosswalks or sidewalks, that's kind of where I'm kind of on board with the use of the stop signs for right now.
So you're not trying to use the stop sign as a calming measure, you're trying to use it as a means for pedestrians to cross. That's what you're saying.
From my standpoint, that's how I'm kind of looking at this location right now. And I know what's coming, right?
Yep.
We kind of know, we talked about that. Stage one, let's set the stage, we know what's coming.
Well, that was one of the things you asked last meeting. What is it we're trying to accomplish? And that is the key. What are you trying to accomplish with this?
And, and if we do a speed study, it'll just show a little bit more information there too. Because you do have, I did go through the effort. I went down the whole roadway. I measured out the locations where there's curves in the road. So it's just over a mile of road. It's 1.3 miles. And there are two significant curves in that roadway, one more so than the other, where the traffic naturally has to slow down. I do know, since I've been here, there was one accident on that curve in particular where they hit the catch basin structure, the curbing, it glanced off the telephone pole and ended up upside down in the guy's driveway across the street. So I do know that one accident that occurred out there several years ago. But outside of that, again, from my perspective, I agree. Traffic calming, not necessarily the proper use. Given this location, I think it is going to justify a different aspect out here. So.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any more comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous.
One question.
You're done.
When,
One question,
when-
Dave, one question.
when would you like those installed?
Right now.
As soon as you can.
Good enough. Very good. Thank you.
You know I'm not a patient woman.
If you give us a little time, like advance notice on those, that way we'll put the signboards out there and notify people that this is a change coming.
Thank
Put it
you.
up tomorrow.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief,
Yeah, but
about
tomorrow.
the,
Tomorrow.
traffic study, you're gonna take care of that?
I'll get with Mr. Cabral, see what part of the road he wants,
Okay,
employed to.
okay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, community speaks. Is there anybody out in our audience here that would like to speak on anything? Any community? Mr. Alves, one of these days you're gonna get up and speak on the community speak. He's close. Thank you. Okay, seeing no one. Other business? I have no other business. You have no other business? I have no other business. Town administrator's report?
Thank you. Just an update for the DPW Building Committee. So we had a meeting on October 23rd last week. We did not have a quorum, but we did, our OPM did provide us with updates. Discussion really just kind of centered around the touch and truck event and then the event over at the soccer fields on that Saturday, which was the same day as the touch and truck. So that's what we have now. We're still going up for some frequently asked questions that we just sent out. Hopefully we get that out on the website and out to people, so we continue to just try to get the message out there for the vote at town meeting.
Was that well attended?
They said it was well attended. Yeah.
We had a lot of questions at soccer too.
Do you have anything else?
That's all I
You
have.
don't have to talk just about that. Okay, Board of Selectmen liaison reports and comments, accounts payable warrants signed, 540 Arcade Avenue Building Committee report, everything is going well. There will be a presentation at the town meeting on the 18th, and then the committee will be dissolved at the end of the year when all the warranties, guarantees, and all that are over. TV9?
Mr. Dean?
Yep. So just waiting on a final agreement or a draft agreement from Seekonk Cable Access. So the attorney spoke last Friday. Once we receive that, then we'll internally meet just to discuss any potential changes that are before us.
Okay, Bristol County Advisory Board?
There is going to be, well, a tentative meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, December 5th at 6 o'clock via Zoom only. There's only one item on that agenda. It's to approve an MOA that came about after the last meeting that they had. And it should probably be like a 10-minute meeting. But right now,
The MOA is.
memorandum of agreement for, I don't know which group it was, but but it was ratified after the yearly meeting that they had, so they have to come back and get a quorum to approve it.
Are you gonna be able to attend?
I should be able to attend, yeah, as long as they get a quorum, that's the mandate.
The Deerscom Committee report?
As I mentioned, we had a meeting last night to go over some conceptual drawings that were byproduct of the output from the public input session number 1. There were a couple of concepts there of which the committee contributed a lot of input from different directions, including use and layout of the land and different ideas. what's gonna happen from the meeting last night is it'll lead to a couple of other conceptual drawings to be prepared for a public input session number 2. And this is gonna be on November 21st at 6:30 PM here in the Senior Center. At which point the residents will see what will, 2, maybe 3 concepts of what came out of the initial public input session, some ideas, how the land wants to be used, proposed, and then continue to get some feedback from their idea is that coming out of that in the second input session, that could lead us to a final concept to be presented at a third and final input session, likely to be January. So, but in the meantime, in preparation for that, for the meeting on the 21st, we will have one more meeting on November 7th at 7 PM at Seekonk Town Hall, just to review the final conceptual drawings that will be presented on the 21st. That's it. Have to move along.
Good. Seekonk Public Library feasibility study building assessment.
I have no new updates since the last week.
Okay, Selectmen comments, Mr. Sullivan,
Nothing new.
Mr. Zara,
Nothing at this time.
Mrs. Posey,
Nothing.
Mr. Healy.
Nothing.
Well, it's not unanimous because I got stuff.
Surprised.
Okay.
Right down the end time.
Hear ye.
Yes, stop it. Okay, to reiterate our meetings because of the holidays coming up. Our next meeting is on November 13th, which is in 2 weeks. The town meeting, of course, is on the 18th. But we are only going to have 2 meetings in December, December 4th and 18th. And then our next meeting won't be till January 8th. So please note that we have the holidays coming up, plus there's some kind of a conference or something where you're gonna be away, Mr. Kadim, or you have to attend, I was told. So we have November 13th, 18th, the town meeting, December 4th and 18th, and then January 8th. Also, after the town meeting on the 18th, we have a vote on November
25th, yeah.
November 25th. Everybody needs to be cognizant of that. Yes, November 18th, fall town meeting, special election in the high school library on November 25th. And our holiday tree lighting is December 7th. If anybody is still concerned about early voting, you have 2 more days. Okay, so you're gonna have tomorrow Halloween from 8:30 to 4:30 at the town hall, and you have Friday, November 1st from 8:30 to noontime at the town hall. If you can't make either one of them for early voting, you will need to go to the high school on November 5th, Tuesday, November 5th. From our recycling coordinator, we have a don't trash it, just smash it. After Halloween, on Saturday, November 9th, from 9 AM to 11 AM at 351 Fall River Avenue, which is a location behind the Legion Hall, to smash your pumpkin. Not sure what you want to do with your pumpkins after Halloween? Don't trash it, smash it. But please remove all candles, glitter, and paint, so you can go and smash it. Oh, that was pretty cool. Okay, and I am going to make a public apology to Mr. Michael Quill. I don't remember what the date was, but he came in for a license for Fairtown Productions, over in the Speedway parking lot. And I told him that I'd be glad to give him the permit, but he would not see me there. Well, I have a friend that is very persistent and somehow convinced me that to keep her quiet, I went. And I even have the ticket to prove it. And I must say that I absolutely enjoyed it. It was funny, it was scary, we had a blast. And I will go next year. So you never can tell. And I even have posted it on the Seekonk residents website. And it's running till, I think, November 2nd. I think it ends November 2nd. So I'm telling you, the Fairtown nighttime is for adults only. Please don't bring your children because it is scary and there's screaming by not the participants, screaming by the people who have to walk through these haunted houses. But sorry, sir, but I did not mean to discourage anybody, but I will tell you, go. We had a blast. And I'm gonna make that same friend go next year. Because I don't think she was too happy. Okay, one question, are we having the town meeting taped? Are we gonna be able to do that? People are asking.
I gotta work with the schools, it won't be live, but.
Oh. Okay, so anybody, huh?
Facebook Live, they used to do their meetings on the school, Facebook Live or something.
I'll have the answer at the next meeting.
She's shaking her head no.
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay, so anybody who wants to know what's gonna go on at the town meeting, just be advised, on the website, 2 weeks prior to the town meeting, you will be able to see the warrant with all the articles. If you wanna vote on them, you have to go to the high school on November 18th. And begins at 7 o'clock. There may be a lot of people in attendance, so you might want to go a little bit early so you can check in and grab a seat. So if we're not going to go live, then if you're interested, we need to be there. You need to be there. We'll be there, but you need to be there. Okay, I will take a motion. Hold on. What was it, 8:11? Motion to adjourn. To go into executive session to reconvene an open session for potential contract approval for a executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 38, 2121A3 to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, Isabella V. Town of Seekonk et al. U.S. District Court Number 123 CV 10127 DJC. B, to conduct strategy sessions with respect to negotiations with the confidential administrative assistant to the police department for Mass General Law, Chapter 38, subsection 20A2, as having the discussion in open session will be detrimental to the litigation or bargaining position of the town. And C, to conduct strategy sessions with respect to negotiations with town administrator per Mass General Law, Chapter 38, subsection 21A2, as having the discussion in open session would be detrimental to the litigation or bargaining position of the town.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second, Michael Healy.
Thank you.
Michael Healy, aye.
And Posey, aye.
Justin Sullivan, aye.
Is all right?
Michelle Hines, aye. Next board meeting, Wednesday, November 13th. Thank you.